This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Hello and welcome to the Research Talks podcast here on Stockbox with Alan Green. Hello Alan, another Friday, how are you doing?
Hi Mark, another Friday. Yep, bit grey and overcast today, but can't complain. We've had some lovely weather over the past week, so yes, all good. And you're still in the UK, I gather.
I am still in the UK, yes, and you're right. We have had a slightly milder week, which was a nice relief. But yes, it's got a bit overcast and grey again, typical British weather. But yes, I am still in the UK. I'm still mobile. Going back this Sunday, I'll be back in my usual haunt of Rotterdam and in the studio from next Monday. But it's been a good trip. Got a few things done, met some people, so all good.
Yeah. Excellent. That's great. Well, yeah, certainly. I think given this unseasonably warm weather, long may it last. Because the longer that weather lasts, the lower our energy bills are going to be.
Indeed.
So that's the hope, anyway. Yeah,
it is the hope. Yeah. So we're going to be talking today about Marula mining. Who had, I think, 3 or 4 pieces of news yesterday. Certainly 2 or 3 of them were pretty significant. And of course, GMR as well, Golden Metal Resources. So you're going to kick us off with Marula.
Yeah, let's start with Marula, and an interesting company, Aquis listed company, of course, formerly the All Star Metals, and changed name in July. And of course, since that time, there's been an awful lot of development in the company's key assets. So Marula is currently trading at 2.4p. It's the company has been trading as high as that's pretty well the year high, actually, so where we are now. But I think given the news from yesterday and the developments this week, that's hardly surprising. But shares have traded as low as 1p. That was, of course, as in the run-up, as All-Star Metals, as it's changed from All-Star Metals to Marula early this year, got a market capitalization of 1.5 million. So derisory, really, I believe, considering the assets the group has and also the people involved too. So the company is an Africa-focused mining group. It's seeking battery metals and investments into the new into assets that will power the new clean energy era we're moving into, and it has 2 key assets that it's engaged with in Africa, and in fact, I say 2 key assets. Of course, there was an announcement at the start of October, which was an agreement for a 3rd asset, which I'll come to shortly. So the team running the company, Jason Brewer is the chief executive officer. And of course, Jason needs no introduction. He's an experienced mining engineer and director of many ASX and AIM listed companies focused on Africa, 25 years experience, and has honours from the Royal School of Mines and so on. Now, the chairman, I do know, Richard Lloyd. Richard Lloyd has been around for many years. Loves his rugby, fellow of the Institute of Materials and Mining, and he's also been a director in the resources and energy team at ANZ Bank, and very experienced and very well connected through the city. Ian Hairbottle is non-executive director. He's formerly been CEO of Gemfields and Tanzanite One during their most successful years, and the geologist Mark Nally is also a non-executive director. He was founding director of former MD at Moxico Resources, which commenced copper mining in Zambia in about two years ago. So a hugely experienced team. The key assets for the group, firstly, the Blesberg lithium and tantalum mine, which is located in the Northern Cape in South Africa. This is one of the largest pegmatite deposits in what is a regional belt of pegmatite deposits. Historically, Blesberg has produced a spodumene concentrate, which of course is the is the concentrate from which lithium is derived. It's also produced tantalite, feldspar, bismuth, beryl, and mica in its years in production. In 2016, some assays were taken from Blesberg, which revealed grades of between 1.3 and 6.5% lithium from 6 of 20 samples. So it's certainly a very potent mine in terms of the quality and level of grades of lithium within the previous assays. So in recent years, drilling and trenching has been undertaken. The Blesberg team, headed by, of course, Mark Nally, the geologist, have undertaken due diligence, and they've concluded there's the potential there to increase the spodumene resources. So on the back of that, they are looking to establish a bulk sampling and pilot plant. So as we'll get to the announcements yesterday, we'll see how far that's progressed down the road. The second asset the company has is the Nakwamba Hill niobium, tantalum, and rare earths and phosphate deposit located in northeastern Zambia. Now, this asset has a JORC 2012 resource with an indicated and inferred MRE of 21.8 million tons at just over 7% P2O5, which is, of course, phosphorus pentoxide. Also with that, a 1.5% total rare earths oxide measurements. These samples were taken from less than 5% of the entire Nakwamba Hill area or asset area. So huge potential, as we often find with assets in Africa. They cover sort of vast amounts of land, and of course the sampling really and the initial work takes place in a very small part of that. So clearly very exciting potential with there. The team at Marula believe that there's potential to develop a small-scale mining operation within about 9 months, of course, subject to permits and so on. And from this, they'll develop a rare earth element, tantalum and niobium production. And alongside that, they're going to run a systematic exploration program to look at the potential on the ground there, and of course undertake a detailed metallurgical test work. So all of this has come about really since the group evolved into Marula Mining in July. So everything's moving really quickly. Of course, that's reflected the recent increase in the share price. But given the market capitalization now, I think it's derived. So we will certainly see some movement from here on in, I imagine. On October the 4th, it's been a busy month for Marula. Heads of terms were signed with Tequila Mining in Tanzania. And through this, Marula have secured a 49% stake in the Kanusi copper mining project. This is 10 copper mining licenses across Tanzania. Marula have already paid $50,000, and these are costs to Tequila, and also provide them with 4.5 million shares at 2p, and those 4.5 million shares would come with a 12-month lock-in. So the Tequila team are locked into that. Some very exciting samples from the Kanusi copper mine. Samples show 7.2%, 19.1%, and 31.3% copper. And these samples were taken using a handheld XRF machine. So that's the portable radiology machine, which can read the samples. So extremely exciting potential there. And then, of course, we come to yesterday, where the company sort of really took a quantum leap forward. And this is to do going back to the core asset, which is the Blesberg lithium and tantalum mine. The company received a $5 million prepayment from South Africa Commodity Trading Group, Traxys SAL, and that basically pre-sells some of the lithium production coming from the mine. So they've already received the first $2.5 million of that. And that money goes between Marula and their partner on the ground at Blesberg, which of course are SMP, Southern Metal processing. 1.7 million of that money will be used to increase the ownership of Blesberg to 100%. So that's key. So they're owners and operators of the and fully own the mine. But not only that, the this is I said, things have moved quickly since July. The team are looking to fast track lithium production in early 2023 and expect to make the first sales by January the 14th. So that's literally, as we sit here, that's a couple of months away. It's really, really near term. So you can imagine they're on the ground now, actually getting the stuff ready, getting a process from the spodumene concentrate in order to get it to market. The second tranche, that's the other $2.5 million, will be paid in Q1 2023. At the same time, to fund its own running costs, Marula raised a further £450,000 at 2p, and that came with a 1-for-2 warrant for those investors at 4p. The company also raised a further convertible loan note with Brahma Finance for 265,000, and also is in talks with two further Africa-focused funds to potentially raise a further 1 million sterling. So hugely exciting, really, really well positioned going forward. There's a very good team in charge, so you'd expect a lot of action. But even I was surprised when I did the research to see how near term everything was here. So the company's still worth 1.5 million, for heaven's sake. And they've moved now to owning 100% of the Blesberg mine. So I think we're going to see a significant quote unquote or a significant change or re-rating in the current valuation of the company as this progresses and as we get towards that first lithium production.
Indeed, I've been actually personally quite impressed with Jason's progress here, particularly on that Blesberg mine. And the news yesterday, I mean, they've already got funding from an offtake partner, haven't they? Effectively, so
well, that was it. Traxys, yeah, that's the offtake partnership. They've funded that. They've basically purchased lithium from Blesberg, paid $5 million. They've paid the first $2.5 million already. First production is in, they'll get the first sales on 14th of January 2023. And when a company provides a specific date like that, it's pretty confident it's going to provide it by that date. That's highly impressive. And then of course they'll receive the second $2.5 million from Traxys by the end of the first quarter. But that they've already spent $1.7 million of that money on buying the mine outright, so they now own the Blesberg mine outright. So that's got to add huge value, they've got these forward sales already, and they've still got this tiny market capitalization, so it won't be here for long.
No, it's definitely one to watch, isn't it? Given, as you say, the specific date there. It's quite remarkable progress, really, for a company that very few have heard of. I mean, it's on Aquis, isn't it? So that is a slight negative there. But it's not a hard barrier that you can't buy shares.
Well, this is it. And I've heard this before from people. Oh, it's Aquis. Oh, it won't. It's a stock exchange. It's a mechanism to buy shares. And if you've got to pick up the phone and buy the shares, what's that? 5 minutes of your time. You've got a dealing account. You've got an opportunity to invest into a company that has an opportunity to deliver exponential growth within a few months. That what's not to like. That's the issue. And I suppose people might say, well, there's a lack of liquidity. All that's changed on Aquis because don't forget, if Marula really grows and delivers growth, then it'll move on to the apex segment of Aquis, which of course means then its shares can be traded electronically. So that's all the retail service providers will provide that link to the dealing platforms, and it can be traded online.
Indeed. Well, thank you for that, Alan. That's a good, succinct summary of the company there. I am talking to Jason later on today, actually, a bit of an interview on some of that news. So we'll see what he's got to say on the recent developments. But moving on to GMR, Gold and Metal Resources.
Yes, Gold Metal Resources. As listeners will know, I interviewed Oliver Freeze and the chief exec a few months ago, and Oliver gave a really detailed explanation of where gold metal was and the projects. And of course, this is a hugely exciting package. This of course is one of the companies that are being spun out of Power Metal Resources. Of course, Paul has a series of projects on the launch pad. Of course, they were heavily invested. Power Metal were heavily invested into First Class Metals, which has been, I think, the most successful small cap IPO of this year. I mean, it just shows if you've got a good package of assets, you value the company correctly, you're going to deliver growth for shareholders, and that will give you shareholder support all the way through. And I think that's it really, First Class Metals have blazed a trail, shown how it should be done. The next one on the launch pad is Gold Metal Resources, and I'm hugely excited for this one, having spoken to Oliver. Of course, Gold Metal have a package of assets in Nevada. So what Paul and the team, or Paul and Oliver working together, realized that they had this package of assets that could be put into one company. The primary asset, of course, is the Pilot Mountain project, which is 100% loan, 100% owned. It's a tungsten, copper, silver, and zinc project, which has a robust JORC compliant resource of 12.5 million tons at 0.27% tungsten, and also I mentioned significant copper and silver credits. And what's significant here, I think, is given the backdrop, of course, with the applications for tungsten, particularly in the military, all the rest of it, and China's, I wouldn't say stranglehold, but certainly they are the dominant producer of metals such as tungsten. The US, I know, will be seeking to develop its own tungsten supply, and it looks as though they've got one in the heart of America, in Nevada. So this could be hugely exciting. The company provided an update yesterday and said, as regards Pilot Mountain project, they'd undertaken 3D modeling of the high resolution induced polarization IP geophysics survey, and the results from that will be through very, very soon. So just like First Class Metals, they came to market, they timed the IPO, so they came to market with a raft of news flow. And I think we're going to see the same from Gold Metal. So, I'm hugely excited because, when you put an IPO together, you've got to get your ducks in a row. And, I think Oliver and Paul have certainly achieved that already with Gold Med. So the package of assets I mentioned, this is all in Nevada, and it's focused on an area called the Walker Lane Gold Belt. And that's highly significant because it's historically, over the years, it's produced millions of tons of gold and other metals. It's Nevada is renowned as one of the most mining friendly regions in the world, certainly in the US. So very pro mining. Lots of support from the regional governments there, and there's every opportunity to fast track and develop the right sort of project. So that they have Pilot Mountain project as the primary asset. But when I interviewed Oliver, he said we were talking about the other projects, and he said he was really excited about Golconda, and he said, quote unquote, "I think this is one that's going to sneak up on us. Investors, will look at it just as a secondary asset, but I think Golconda could really emerge and be a huge value driver for the company going forward." And certainly that's proven to be the case already. The company went through a data set from a high-res geochem soil survey, and from that they've highlighted 3 zones of strongly anomalous arsenic and gold mineralization. Now, Golconda is a Carlin-type gold deposit, and Carlin means these are sediment-hosted gold deposits which are characterized by what's called invisible gold, which is within the minerals and chemicals within it, namely arsenic, pyrite, and arsenopyrite. So it's called dissolved gold. So it'll only come through chemical analysis, and that's exactly what the team have done here. And they've, as I say, they've identified these 3 zones. So work is continuing, of course, across the other assets. So the two other assets, and these are all, if you look on the maps, there's also on the brand uk.net golden metal page, but you can see it if you go to the golden metal websites. All of these projects are located very closely together. Um, so we have Golconda to the north, then literally Pilot Mountain to the southwest of Pilot Mountain. We have the Stonewall property. Stonewall is also 100% owned. I should say with Golconda, there's an option to earn into 100% of the assets. So it's the only one of the four assets not 100% owned. But I imagine, given the announcement and news yesterday, they will seek to do that in the not too distant future. So the Stonewall project is to the southeast of Pilot Mountain. This is an epithermal silver and gold property, again within the Walker Lane mineral gold belt. So huge, exciting potential there. And then, of course, we have the Garfield property, which is to the north west of Pilot Mountain, very close. This again is a scar porphyry style gold and copper property, again all within the Walker Lane gold belt. And indeed, some updates from those other assets yesterday confirmed that the Garfield project, the assay results are pending for a geochem survey that was recently completed, and I expect with the next update we'll hear more about Stonewall. So Golden Met is coming to market very shortly. It's IPOing very shortly. I spoke to when I spoke to Oliver that we sort of discussed the progress. Of course, they've already raised £750,000 in December last year, pre-IPO financing to fund operations, and currently Power Metal own 83% of Gold Metal. Once the company has IPO'd, they'll hold approximately 50% of GMR. So again, there'll be a major shareholder, have a major interest going forward, and of course, will provide all the logistical support to GMR ongoing. But again, a huge, exciting company. This is, I believe, they'll seek to do the same. Value the company, at a sensible level as it comes to IPO, and then of course. Once the news flow hits, we all of us as shareholders should see good solid growth going forward.
Is there a date for IPO, Alan? Do we know?
There's no date yet. No, it's it, of course was going to be in it was initially going to be April, and of course it was moved back because of the markets. And but I think, given the success of First Class Metals, they're seeking to get this away certainly in the not too distant future, and I'm sure we'll have further news on that shortly. And again, Paul Johnson said yesterday in the announcement, the combination of Pilot Mountain with a blue sky exploration upside offered by Golconda makes Gold Metal a unique investment proposition in Nevada, and we look forward to the planned listing in London. So yeah, it's coming. No firm date yet, but I don't expect it'll be too long. And like I say, I believe the company will get its ducks in a row news flow wise. So once they come to market, then we'll get the news and the developments from each project within the very near term after that.
Oh, I'm sure the company like Golden Metal, yes, being out from Power, will certainly have that all ready to go. And from talking to Oliver through Power Metal Resources, he's very good, isn't he? I think you've spoken to him as well on just how he puts things across, and very. I think he gets a little bit nervous about doing interviews, but I've told him he doesn't need to, because he's just naturally comes across very well, says things, he's obviously very technically minded, but says things in a very understandable and straightforward way. So I think he's going to be a very good CEO, and I'm looking forward very much to when they can actually get really motoring independently with their projects.
Indeed, we'll, as you say, I think Oliver, is technically highly proficient. Knows his job inside out, but he's also very good at articulating the opportunity in simple layman's terms. And if you look at the interview that I did with him, if you go to the BN or Brandon Novus Communications YouTube channel, go back and look at that interview. And you can actually jump forward. So if you want to sort of look at the Pilot Mountain only, or Golconda or Garfield, you can jump forward on on the actual video. There are links on the just underneath the video to do that. And you see Oliver just explain it, and I did note when we did the interview, we talked about Pilot Mountain, then we got on to Golconda, and he just said, "Yeah, this is really going to sneak up on us. It's really exciting." And I think the announcement yesterday really confirms just how much potential there is there.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for giving us the case there for Marula Mining. We'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully lots of things to come in the next few months. Hopefully something to keep us warm as we go through the winter and this uncertain time in the markets, given as well the earnings reports that came out just this week from some of the big techs, looking like they're coming off a little bit, which is not really surprising given people perhaps tightening their spending with what's to come. So we do need some things to keep us warm, and the IPO potentially with golden metals is something to look forward to.
A nice warm golden feeling, yes.
A nice warm golden feeling. I think it'll be a Christmas present. I think we'll get it before Christmas Day. It's hard to say, isn't it? These things take such a long time.
Yeah, I think it'd be great if they did, because of course, we are where we are, and I think now the Sunak administration is in place. We're going to have more stability going forward. It's not going to be an easy ride, clearly, we are where we are with the macro backdrop and the high fuel bills and inflation and everything else. But I think certainly markets, there's a bit more visibility there now. I think given the caliber of the people now running the party, and also I think I'm sure Rishi will, as former chancellor, will work very closely with Jeremy Hunt to make sure that everything's where it should be. But yeah, I think it's a far more stable backdrop onto which to IPO a company now. So let's hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oliver and Paul decide to pull the trigger.
Yeah, well, we could do with a stable government in the UK for more than
we certainly could.
A couple of years or whatever. But
let's not start on politics though.
Yeah, no, let's not. Well, thank you very much, Alan. I wish you a very pleasant weekend, and I'll speak to you again as normal next week.
Super. Thanks very much, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programmes at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.